The Necropolis League for Path of Exile is so huge and amazing, it honestly should be considered free DLC at this point, not just a league.
Hi, Cicerine here with another video, and in this video we are going to go over the Path of Exile Necropolis changes. We will have a separate video that talk about patch notes and balance, and we do have the raw video for that up already.
Big.
We are going to start about the end game first. That is what I'm a lot more excited than the league mechanic. I really don't know.
More endgame to the already existing big endgame. That's good. That's really good.
How I feel about the league mechanic. I think I used to be a little bit more judgy before, early on, but I realized
You can see the tits. Nice.
that I'm wrong so much whether a league is awesome or awful, and I just really have no idea by seeing patch notes and announcements. I realized. Now, that being said, the league mechanic does look kind of slow to me, but you know, sometimes that means it's fun to play. So I miss the mark on that sometimes. Either way, we're going to start with the end game. That is the most important thing to me, and I've written down a lot of the things that I thought was the most important to talk about here. To start with, the new tier 17 maps, I think that's so cool. It's really funny because even at my last interview with Jonathan, I was saying like, I really liked map balance the most back in Temp.
That, by the way, was the new ice shot. What's it called? Change affliction, whatever, you know. But nice, new stuff.
Best, where you would mostly be running tier 11s to 13s, and you would get 14s, 15s as a like kind of treat. You wouldn't be permanently running the highest level, and these are kind of gonna be like that. Unless you're buying them, you're probably not going to be permanently running tier 17s, and you might not be able to
This is the new poison flask thing that you can change.
permanently run the ones you get, because they might be really hard for your build, especially on hardcore, right? Like, these are going to be very dangerous, and they sort of have an uber variant of existing bosses like Lycia, the heist, not even just heist, it's also like the synthesis robot, but heist slash synthesis robot. My editor called it a brobot. You have Katarina and you have Uthred. I think there's one more as well. There's a fifth one. But either way, like, we're basically getting a new version of Ubers, because they're gonna have so scary map mods. Sometimes they'll be more scary than Ubers, because imagine you're up against the Uber, but you're not allowed to use any auras. You know, that's pretty bad. They're unmodifiable, exclusive map mods. Octavian made these. Very cool to see him getting to do more and more design work. He used to be a Path of Exile streamer, if you're not familiar with him. These tier 17 maps is the only...
Dude, look at this. This is gonna be crazy. They redesigned stuff, by the way. Requires level 34. 4 abyssal sockets. 2 levels to all minion skill gems. 1 maximum number of specters per socket. Got ghastly eye jewels. You cannot have non-specter minions. Yeah, I mean, specters have received a lot of love, and this is just... I actually don't know if this works. I have never done a pure specter build. I have no idea. I don't like specters personally, honestly. I like minions, but I don't like specters per se. So I have no idea if this actually works. But, hey.
way to gain access to Uber bosses. You now need to find 5 fragments, and I love the design work they've done here. So we've seen a lot of changes with Uber bosses, where now the loot between the normal and Uber bosses are completely separated. Now, if you're wondering why this is done so that, especially on softcore trade league and stuff, you don't feel like you're wasting your time by killing a normal boss. You don't feel like you only have to farm Ubers. Now there's going to be distinct different reasons to farm normal bosses and to farm Ubers, and they have completely exclusive loot.
Now, this is good for people who know this, but I bet a lot of people never even thought about that. So, you know, it's actually kind of a nice change just for the top % of players.
There are new drops from the Ubers, and there's loads of new drops from the new Ubers. And I love that we're getting new bosses. I do hope that they are basically Uber level. I just, that's the #1 thing that's the most exciting for me, and what I was hoping to get the most was like a new set of Ubers. So this is pretty close to that. I'm extremely happy. I don't think I've been this happy for a league or whatever expansion you want to call it in a year, maybe 2. Like, this looks so sick. I do really want to talk about the fact that there's 5 fragments to enter. There's no sides. You don't have to, there's no RNG. You just need 5. So you don't need to get top left, bottom left, etc. And the Uber fragments that exist now, like Uber Shaper, Uber Elder, those are swappable now, which is huge. So really cool changes there. It really feels like they're starting to really realize like what are the fun parts of RNG that we like and what do we not like getting 17 I think was it 21 that I got bottom right in the row, and I was like, I am in pain. And I barely got to do Ubers that league. For the Atlas passive tree, there are some insane changes. I think for a lot of people, this is going to be some of the best changes. The Atlas passive tree, you actually get layouts now, and you can swap between them freely on the map device.
This is just, well, it's nice, I guess, but a little bit questionable at the same time. I mean, if you're gonna swap trees, and if you want to do that, I honestly think it's better just to make a new character at that point. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Someone's definitely gonna like it. I'm not saying it's bad, but I don't know. The fact that you can swap between 3 of these is kind of like completely crazy, because you can specialize so much with that. Even with 2, you would be having crazy specialization, but with 3, man, stuff is wild.
You can be like, oh, I want Atlas 1 and do some essence farming. It's like, oh no, now I want to farm harvest. So you like unlock these. I don't think they said exactly how to unlock them, but the new league mechanic will also get Atlas passive trees. So there's so many Atlas passive trees changes, like so cool. A bunch of new keystones, really interesting ones, like one that gives you 20 additional skill points for the Atlas, but in return you're not able to use a lot of different things. I think it was scarabs weren't usable, and the chance to like spawn the link mechanic you want has gone up. So I think we'll probably get close to 100% on the link mechanic you want now. Scarabs are changed, sextons are completely gone. They were like, this is feeling too much like a chore. So a lot of the power from them have been moved to other areas like scarabs, and honestly it looks really cool. There's some really cool new scarabs, like one of the divine ones, divination ones is 20% chance that you drop a full stack. So if you get a mage blood card, you would get a 20% chance that it's a full. So we have like a lot more ways to force loot now. Like if you want to spawn more essences, you can get a lot more essences. Essences have been changed as well. You need shriekings and deafenings will spawn in yellow maps. So honestly,
dude, essences, one of the very first things that they actually did. I don't remember when essences happened. Man, that was a long time ago, and it's one of the most successful, strangely enjoyable things in the game. It's not even that good, honestly, if you think about it, but it's strangely just enjoyable.
That's cool. Or was it deafening for reds? But either way, it's changed for the better, in my opinion. I think like the fact that there was no difference between white, yellow, and reds didn't really make that much more sense. And it looks like you're going to actually get a lot more essences now. And I do wonder if we're going to have a scarab for doubling like we did before. But we haven't seen all the scarabs yet. A lot more ways to force loot either way. Tattoos are back in the game now. A lot of the really powerful ones are in. With a few exceptions like Explode and a few other things. Suppression are gone. But a lot of really strong ones are in. There's also keystones for alternative scarab playstyles. Like everything here is connected, and they've done a really good job with this stuff. I think it's quite exciting. Master missions are gone except for Kirak. So that's another thing that you can spec into as like chance to spawn, etc. I don't know how I feel about this. I really liked that I could just spawn John when I wanted, but I guess now we'll just have like a way bigger chance and like focus farm that for a period. And you can have multiple pair ones, so you could have Einar and John at the same time, which this is really good. Maven invitations are gone. That's something I've been pushing for. You might have seen me bringing it up on podcasts. It's been on my wish list, and I was DMing them, and I ended up having a bit of a conversation with Neon about it, and he was asking me, like, do you think it should work like that? And I was like, yeah, please. Like, the Maven invitations should be a lot more like memories. And he was like, okay. And I guess they decided that that was a good idea, and it's something not just me, but a lot of people in the community have been wanting for a long time, because a thing that feels really bad would be killing 4 Elder Guardians witnessed, and you don't drop an invitation, then you kill another 4, and you just feel like you wasted an entire witness of Twisted. Now, there are downsides to this as well. Voling for softcore players will be a lot more dangerous. You really need to make sure that your build can handle literally everything if you're going to vol, right? But I think this is such a cool change, and I really feel like they were listening to a lot of things that people in the community wanted, and obviously this was something...
Well, this is late game stuff. It's interesting how PoE is concentrating. They have pretty much well, you can't say forsake, but PoE is pretty much just concentrating at the moment on player retention like crazy. Every league there's almost nothing to get players in except that, just the new league in general happening. But there's no improvements pretty much ever for, like, the new player experience and things like that. No guides, no nothing updating. Because I will remind you all again, PoE have revealed these statistics themselves. The average player who plays PoE gets to Hillock, gets killed by Hillock, logs out, and deletes the game. How is that possible? I don't know, but that's the average actual player for PoE. So I'm surprised they're not actually doing this, but they're kind of concentrating on the experience of the end game players. Which, by the way, keep in mind, this is literally the end game changes for players, which pretty much just means roughly Zizaran and, like, maybe 2 more people in the world will be happy with this in general. Most other people will never get to that point. Tier 17 maps, I'm not gonna farm that. I don't know how good this new league is, but last league I got to Kitava and I was like, well, build feels complete. Here's the fucking, Act 5 boss down or whatever, and I'm bored now because there's nothing's changing. Okay, but for the end game, for people who want to perfect it, they're constantly adding new things, which is kind of a little bit crazy in my opinion. Now, admittedly, Path of Exile has went tremendous strides from what it was at the start to what it is now, even though there are still a lot of issues, in my opinion, for the new game, for the new player experience that you could potentially see. But they did fix one of the biggest ones: the fact that you choose the wrong gem at the start as a level 2, and you're completely fucked because it's really weak and it's really, really bad. Man, I remember, how long ago was actually this? This is years. This is years. If you wanted to play a summoner and play zombies, zombies would die so easily until the point where you actually got the energy shield aura, which was Act 1, I believe. Man, it was just horrendous. Anytime there's a single thing that does dot, your summons are just wiped off of the face of the earth. All your zombies are dead. So, you needed energy shield, and without that, you couldn't actually play a summoner build for the start. Stuff like that. They have went so tremendously far with these things, but man, I think there's still a lot that could be improved for new players. And I really think GGG is still not really concentrating on new player experiences as much as they should. Well, that's up to them. And anyway, these changes, these things are good, but I wonder what's their reasoning behind this, or they think that it's already good enough. Well, I guess we will never find out, huh?
I was pushing for really hard, so I'm so excited about this change. It just felt so bad to sometimes go like 8, 9, 10 maps without getting an invite, especially for things that were like a really limited resource, like sometimes the breach lords and stuff. Campaign changes. Random shit's gonna spawn in the campaign, so that's interesting, like Vile temples and stuff. I guess they're trying to make the campaign more interesting, which I'm all for that. It'll break the monotony and mix it up a lot more. Just randomly finding a double crop shrine could really change your leveling experience. So maybe we'll get some actual cool loot that'll help with progression during the campaign. I did make a campaign video recently, and I still believe like anything after the first time is not important, but the first time you go through the campaign is super important. So the fact that they are doing some cool stuff there, I'm very excited for. The league mechanic, honestly, I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. It does look very slow. It is something you can just like blast through. However, then it's going to be dangerous because you don't know where things are being added, but you do have a lot of...
I don't think that's true at all, honestly. I think this is going to be completely fine. This is just going to be just like any other league mechanic that requires more than just, zooming past through it, right? This is going to just be a situation where, okay, the first time you're a little bit unfamiliar with this, but after, 3 times experiencing it, you kind of get it down, what's what and what how it should be. So, it's not going to be that hard.
Choice, and we get a lot more information about monsters than we've ever had before, so that is very cool. They haven't really included farming one area in the campaign, which I thought was a little bit weird. I'd rather they made it just work similar to the way maps work there. But it is supposed to be a progression thing. Like if you fight a lot in this zone, then your next zone might have really cool rewards. So we're almost forced to interact with it. We haven't really seen that since Betrayal, and before that since Invasion, where we were really, really forced to interact with the mechanics. So I wonder how people feel about that. I don't have a big problem with that. I'm usually like, for those that don't...
I kind of like it when you're forced to interact with the mechanic. Otherwise, one of the biggest things that I don't like about PoE is sometimes you just completely ignore the mechanic until the late game, which is a little bit, you know, it's fine that you have a choice like it, but at the same time, you know, it feels a little bit cheap that you don't interact with the league mechanic until, you know, maximum, well, until you start mapping essentially, which, you know, maybe that's better, maybe that's worse. It's really hard to tell, honestly. I like it when they kind of force you to interact with the map mechanic personally.
Don't know, Steelmage calls me his canary because I do interact with the league mechanics so much on hardcore, so other hardcore players use that as a gauge to see whether how rippy it is or how safe it is. So I don't mind too much, other people might. But you collect corpses from certain monsters to bury them in your own personal cemetery. I do hope that they have some sort of option to bypass the animation. Like, hey, you know, I've seen this animation like 364 times now. Maybe I don't want to keep seeing it. Like, you know, like, I love that, like,
makes sense.
Cool thing the first time you see it, but maybe we don't want to keep seeing it. It does look like a bit of an advance.
Yeah, we know about this crap from Diablo 4. Oh, here's a cool 5-second animation. Yeah, cool for the first time, but can I now skip it because it's annoying me really, really, really hard? Game developers do this mistake constantly. If there's... listen, game developers. If there's any mechanic that you need to repeat multiple times, constantly in fact, then it needs to be instant. Even if I need to wait 1 second for it and I need to interact with it constantly, that's bad. It needs to be instant.
Tetris with crafting, a little bit like a ROG, and I think it can be really cool. Some of the mods that we're seeing were really, really interesting. It's just going to be really neat, and hopefully like it'll make the value of things like Hunter, Exalted Orbs and stuff skyrocket, because you can still do that afterwards from what it seems. It does just look like a very involved crafting system. There are new uniques and stuff you can make this way. There are new gems. They look cool. Hopefully we'll see like full numbers on them and really try to like work that out, like what's going to be good. The left click changes, they suck. I don't think that was a good fix. And Neon obviously talked about that was regrettable. They don't feel like they've got it right, and they do want to like keep working on this and find even some band-aid fixes, but also some good permanent fixes. And they explain that.
Yeah, this is the new ice shot. Looks kind of cool.
They wanted it to be like more intuitive behavior, which currently it isn't.
This is the new tornado something.
And I do agree with that. But either way, I just wanted to make this quick video talking about Necropolis. Hope you guys are as excited for the league as I am.
Yeah, pretty excited. It's gonna be fun. Considering, well, we have what do we have currently to play? Last Epoch, Diablo 4, everything's kind of lame there currently. So yeah, very, very much looking forward to a little bit of good old PoE, as always. In any case, yeah, that was our boy, Zizarian. And this was Chris Said. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.